Accounts have it. Questions on and answer to an urgent question asked in the House of Commons yesterday on connectivity issues caused by the late cancellation of flights.
My Lords, may I start by joining with the Prime Minister in welcoming President Trump in his restoration to office. Cancelled flights are not merely a domestic phenomenon, they affect transatlantic journeys as well, and in the reset that the government will no doubt be undertaking now with the American administration, they could perhaps work together to improve matters for us all in that regard as well. Concerning our own domestic arrangements, now that we've left the European Union, the question I have for the noble Lord is whether the government is assessing whether the compensation scheme we inherited from the European Union could in fact be improved in relation to cancelled and delayed flights to give a better deal to the customer. Like rail nationalisation, he could score it as a Brexit benefit.
Regulation 261/2004 sets out the rights of passengers in the event of flight disruptions such as cancellations and long delays. I note the question from the noble Lord. I have no current information about changing these arrangements, but I'll certainly go away and see what can be done about it.
My Lords, I'm interested in the noble Lord's question because one of his predecessors was keen on simplifying and downgrading the compensation in recent months. A key factor in this week's delays was related to staff shortages in air traffic control. Can the noble Lord, the Minister, confirm that the CAA is working to deal with this problem, which is a repeated problem, and to ensure that sufficient staff cover is always available? And can he tell us what conversations the government have had with our European partners at Eurocontrol, who have emphasised the need for better cooperation across countries in order to make sure that air passengers fly safely?
Good point.
I can assure the noble Baroness that the Civil Aviation Authority are working on this, and there have been discussions with them from within the Department for Transport. I can't answer the question about more European cooperation, but I shall write to the noble Baroness to give her some information.
My Lords, accepting the cancellation of flights due to weather conditions are beyond the control of airlines. However, last-minute cancellations by BA on flights from Belfast City to London City surely they undermine reliability and damage confidence within the business and tourism community and the travelling public. So therefore, can the noble Lord the Minister commit to investigate the reasons for such cancellations on so many occasions and encourage the airlines to live up to their responsibilities?
I thank the noble Lord for the question related to the original question. The UK aviation market operates predominantly in the private sector, and it is for airports to invest in their infrastructure and airlines to determine the routes they operate. But it's also for those two parties to minimise delays and cancellations, and I recognise the number of cancellations in the past few days. My honourable friend, the Aviation Minister, has recently met British Airways about regional connectivity in that respect.
I declare myself a victim of a cancellation on Monday, travelling from my home in Fermanagh, the most westerly part of the United Kingdom, at 7:45 in the morning. I received an email at 8:15 whilst I was travelling to tell me that my flight at 10:40 had been cancelled, and that indeed I was booked on the 5 o'clock that evening, which meant that I missed an entire day's business here in the House of Lords. My question to the Noble Lord is around consumer rights. When I was told about the reason for the cancellation, it was operational challenges. Surely that is not good enough, my Lord, and surely there should be more clarity in relation to cancellations.
The Noble Baroness is entirely right. Cancellations affect passengers and business who rely on punctual services and connections and have an impact on confidence. Her case is a particular case in point of the damage done by short notice cancellations. I would only say I think that's a terrible phrase to use as an excuse, because it doesn't mean much, though I'm familiar with other forms of transport that sometimes sadly also use phrases like that. We will look at actually speaking to airlines to make sure that they do use intelligible reasons for cancellation and delays and the effect of that on the rights of passengers.
Lords, would the Noble Lord, the Minister, agree that by removing UK air passenger duty on flights from Northern Ireland would encourage air carriers to open up new routes, allowing Northern Ireland airports to be more competitive with Dublin Airport and thus prove beneficial for improving the economy and tourism in Northern Ireland?
The Noble Lord will know that the air passenger duty on domestic flights was reduced quite recently to a relatively modest level. The Government is entirely committed to good air connections with Northern Ireland and to the promotion of its airports. I don't think that the removal of the duty, which is in any case a Treasury matter, would make a lot of difference. We are committed to good regional connectivity and the future prosperity of the airports in Northern Ireland.
My Lords, I too was a passenger on the flight on Monday morning that never was, because it was, if you looked at the schedules in advance, it wasn't there. And I too got the email at 8:10, although fortunately I don't have so far to travel. But on the wider point, this is becoming a repetitive issue. We understand operational challenges, we all have them, we all know whether it's also from COVID with the number of staff that were disposed of at the time. But I brought a bill through this House twice to guarantee slots for regional airports at Heathrow, and it was rejected in the other place on the grounds that we were part of the European Union and it couldn't therefore be implemented. Now that is no longer the case. Will the Minister look in his department at ensuring that regional connectivity is guaranteed to Heathrow, because that's where the operational hub in the United Kingdom is, and it also bears down on the airlines because these slots are worth millions?
My understanding is that there were 18 flights cancelled in the past 4 weeks, which is, of course, too many. As I've said, it is the responsibility of airlines and airports to work together to minimise delays and cancellations. The Government recognises completely the need for regional connectivity, particularly by air in Northern Ireland. And my honourable friend, the Aviation Minister, is constantly reviewing the connectivity of Northern Ireland with all of the airports in the rest of the UK. I'll take the point that the Noble Lord has made and relay it to the Aviation Minister.
I too was a passenger on that airplane which was cancelled. The reality is that on this occasion, British Airways, which was the airline in question, knew the day before, or before that the plane had been cancelled. The airport also knew that the plane had been cancelled. The people who didn't know that the plane had been cancelled were the people who were getting up to catch the plane. Does the Noble Lord the Minister think it would be helpful if an additional penalty was introduced payable to the customer who is inconvenienced in that situation?
It's clearly wrong for the transport provider and the airport to know that the flight is cancelled, but for the passengers not to know. I have to say, similar circumstances sometimes apply on other transport modes, and it's unacceptable there too. I would agree with the noble Baroness that it is unacceptable. What needs to be done about it is another matter, and I will further speak to my honourable friend the Aviation Minister to see what needs to be done to stop this practice. It's unacceptable.
My Lords, Regulation 261 is actually a robust regulation, and I don't believe that the compensation is too little, should I say. In addition, the comment made by the noble Baroness regarding air traffic control issues, I don't believe that was the case either. But there's clearly an issue here, because notwithstanding the number of times this specific flight has been cancelled, as our noble colleagues, certainly from Northern Ireland, are so badly affected, I think it would be quite helpful, perhaps, if the noble Lord the Minister could speak with the Aviation Minister, get the CAA involved with this, because they do deal directly with Regulation 261, to find out specifically what is the issue to do with this flight. It's not slots, I don't believe it's a slot issue, but to turn around and say to passengers that this is an operational issue and giving people 2 hours' notice when they know that flight's being cancelled the day before, there's clearly something more going on. So I think we'd be very grateful, perhaps, if we could get some more information on this specific issue, certainly to help our colleagues in Northern Ireland.
If I were the airline concerned, I wouldn't cancel this particular flight. It seems to me that having your operational business discussed in this House is probably not helpful to your reputation. But I shall otherwise do exactly what the noble Baroness suggests.